A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. That simple phrase carries a world of meaning. Because leadership, true leadership, isn't about control, titles, or applause. It's about responsibility. It's about rising first, staying late, and carrying the weight that others avoid. It's about becoming the kind of person others want to follow, not because they have to, but because they're inspired to. In a world full of noise, distraction, and uncertainty, we don't need more people shouting commands. We need more people who lead with clarity, conviction, and character. And here's the truth. Leadership is not a gift reserved for the few. It's a skill, a mindset, and a decision. A decision you can make today. Whether you're leading a team, a business, a classroom, a family, or simply leading yourself, this message is for you. Because before you can ever lead others effectively, you must first learn how to lead your own life with purpose, courage, and discipline. The great leaders we admire didn't wait for the perfect moment. They stepped forward, even when they didn't feel ready. They made choices that shaped their character. They took risks, they failed, they learned, and they grew stronger with each step. Leadership is earned, not given, and it begins within. Today, I'm going to walk you through the powerful principles that can help you become a truly great leader. Wherever you are in life, stay with me for the next few minutes as I share the tools, the mindset, and the examples that can transform the way you lead. Let's dive in. Number 1, leadership begins with leading yourself. Before you can ever lead a team, a company, a community, or even a family, you must first learn to lead yourself. That's where leadership really begins. Because if you can't manage your own time, your own habits, your own attitude, how can you expect to guide someone else? Great leadership doesn't start with shouting orders. It starts with quiet discipline. It's waking up when the alarm rings, not when you feel like it. It's showing up with consistency, doing the work, even on the days when no one's watching. Leadership is about keeping promises, especially the ones you make to yourself. If you tell yourself you'll write every day, read every week, improve every month, you better follow through. Why? Because if you don't respect your own word, why would anyone else? Take Denzel Washington, for example. Known for his professionalism and grounded nature, he's not just a world-class actor, he's a man of discipline. Behind the scenes, he lives by routine. He keeps his circle tight, his principles clear, and his standards high. That's self-leadership. That's what earns respect, long before a title does. You don't need to have everything figured out to start. You just need to take responsibility. Be honest with yourself. Where are you slipping? What needs attention? What habits are leading you away from the person you want to become? Fix those. Because people don't follow perfection. They follow someone who's real, someone who's growing, someone who's walking the path, not just talking about it. Remember this, leadership is not just about getting people to follow you. It's about setting the kind of example they can model. It's not just being in charge. It's being in control of your attitude, your reactions, your time, and your choices. That's the first step to earning influence. So if you want to lead others, start with yourself. Master the basics, show discipline, practice daily habits, and develop the mindset of a person who shows up, rain or shine. Because when you can lead yourself with consistency, you've already become someone worth following. Number 2, the power of vision. See beyond the now. Every great leader begins with a vision. Something bigger than themselves. Something that pulls them forward when the path gets hard. Vision is not just about where you are. It's about where you're going. And more importantly, it's about why you're going there. You see, the present can sometimes be overwhelming. Bills, deadlines, responsibilities, and distractions can cloud your mind and weigh you down. But vision is what lifts you up. It allows you to rise above the daily noise and see a picture of what could be. It gives meaning to the struggle. It gives you direction when life gets confusing. It's like a lighthouse in a storm, steady, clear, and full of purpose. Think about Walt Disney. Long before the first theme park, long before Mickey Mouse became a cultural icon, Walt had a vision. He dreamed of a place where families could have fun together, where imagination had no boundaries, where children and adults alike could escape the ordinary. But let's be honest, he had every reason to quit. He faced bankruptcies, rejections, and ridicule. People said he was crazy. But Walt didn't listen. Why? Because his vision was louder than the critics. That's what great leaders do. They see it before it's real. They believe in it when no one else does. They hold the picture in their mind so clearly that it starts to become reality. Now here's the truth. Most people don't lack motivation. They lack vision. They wake up, go to work, come home, repeat. They live by routine, not by design. But you have a choice. You can live with intention. You can define your vision. What do you want your life to look like? What kind of person do you want to be? What impact do you want to have on the world around you? Don't wait for clarity to find you. Go out and create it. When your vision is strong enough, your excuses disappear. You no longer ask, do I feel like it today? You ask, is this taking me closer to the life I want? That's how leaders think. They filter their actions through the lens of their vision. If it moves them forward, they do it. If it distracts them, they eliminate it. But don't confuse vision with fantasy. Vision requires work. It demands action. It's not just about dreaming, it's about building. The difference between a leader and a dreamer is that leaders put their dreams on a schedule. They make a plan. They set goals. They write it down. They speak it into existence because they know what gets written gets remembered, and what gets remembered gets acted on. The beauty of vision is that it evolves. The vision you start with isn't the one you'll end with, and that's okay. Growth brings clarity. As you lead, as you take action, as you stumble and learn, your vision will sharpen. It's like a photograph coming into focus. What matters is that you begin, that you dare to look beyond your current circumstances and imagine something better. You don't need anyone's permission to dream big. You don't need everyone to believe in it. You just need to believe in it enough to begin. That's the heartbeat of leadership. Seeing the invisible and doing the impossible. Holding tight to what matters most, even when the results are far away. So if you're serious about becoming a great leader, stop living only for today. Start living for the future you're building. Write your vision. Speak your vision. Live your vision. Because when your life has purpose, your actions gain power. And when your actions are backed by vision, you become unstoppable. That's the power of vision. It pulls you out of comfort. It lifts you out of excuses. And it drives you into the life you were meant to lead. Number 3, communicate with clarity and purpose. Leadership without communication is like a ship without a compass, lost, drifting, and eventually forgotten. Great leaders don't just have a vision. They know how to communicate it clearly, consistently, and with conviction. They understand that words carry weight. Every phrase, every conversation, every message has the potential to influence, inspire, and ignite change. Communication is not about talking more. It's about saying the right things in the right way. It's about making people feel seen, heard, and understood. When you speak, do people lean in or do they tune out? That's a question every aspiring leader must ask themselves. Let's look at an example that captures the power of purposeful communication. Barack Obama. Regardless of where anyone stands politically, few can deny his ability to connect with people through words. His speeches were more than information. They were inspiration. He had a way of speaking directly to people's hearts, making complex ideas simple and difficult conversations feel honest and human. That's the art of leadership communication. Now, you don't need to be a world-class orator to lead, but you do need to speak with intention. Too many people talk to impress when they should be speaking to connect. True leadership is not about big words. It's about real ones. It's about being authentic. People can smell fate from a mile away. They may not always agree with you, but they'll respect you if you're real with them. Great communicators do something most people don't. They listen. They don't just wait for their turn to talk. They actually hear what others are saying. They listen to understand, not just to respond. And because they listen well, they speak even better. Their words come from a place of understanding, not assumption. If you want to lead, you must master both sides of communication, speaking and listening. Learn to read the room. Learn to ask questions that go beyond surface level. And most importantly, learn to pause. Silence, when used wisely, is one of the most powerful tools in communication. It gives others space to think and gives your words more impact when you do speak. Now let's talk about clarity. The confused mind doesn't follow. If your message is unclear, your team will be uncertain, your goals will be misunderstood, and your influence will fade. Make it simple. Make it strong. And make it stick. Say it in a way that even a child could understand. Because true intelligence is not proven by complexity. It's proven by clarity. Purpose is the other half. What are you trying to accomplish when you speak? Is it to motivate, to teach, to correct, to unify? Know your intent before you open your mouth. That's what separates accidental leaders from intentional ones. Every word should serve the mission. Every message should build trust, and every conversation should bring people closer to the vision. As a leader, people watch you, even when you're not speaking. Your tone, your expression, your posture, those things speak louder than your words. If your actions contradict your message, people won't remember what you said, they'll remember what you did. That's why your communication has to be consistent with your values, your behavior, and your beliefs. And let's not forget courage. Sometimes leadership means having tough conversations. It means saying what needs to be said, not what people want to hear. It means correcting without crushing and confronting without condemning. That's not easy, but it's necessary. Because leadership isn't about being liked, it's about being trusted. And trust is built through truth. So if you want to elevate your leadership, elevate your communication, speak less, but mean more. Listen deeply. Be clear, be real, and be intentional. You don't need to be loud to be heard. You need to be honest. You need to care, and you need to speak from a place that reflects your values and vision. Great leaders use their voice to build, not break, to lift, not limit, to guide, not control. So start paying attention to how you speak. Choose your words carefully, deliver them with purpose, and let your message be a mirror of your mission. Because when your words align with your actions and your message reflects your heart, you won't just be a speaker, you'll be a leader worth following. Number 4, decision-making. Own the consequences. At the heart of leadership lies one unavoidable responsibility: decision-making. The ability to choose, to act, and to own the consequences of those choices. That's what separates leaders from the crowd. A real leader doesn't wait for perfect conditions. They don't hide behind indecision. They step forward, weigh the options, make the call, and take full responsibility for what comes next. The truth is, most people avoid decision-making because it comes with risk. It comes with the possibility of being wrong. But leadership isn't about always being right. It's about being willing to act when it matters most. Indecision delays progress. It breeds doubt, both in the leader and in the people they lead. A team can handle a wrong decision better than no decision at all. Because with a decision, there's at least direction. Without it, there's only confusion. Let's take the story of Rosa Parks. She didn't have a title. She wasn't wealthy, but she made a decision. A quiet, firm, deliberate decision to stay seated. And that decision became a spark that ignited a movement. She didn't plan to become a symbol of courage. She simply acted from conviction. That's leadership. It's not always about standing on a stage. Sometimes it's about standing your ground. Now, you may not be called to lead a revolution, but every day you're faced with decisions that shape your character, your direction, and your influence. What time you wake up, how you respond under pressure, whether you follow through on your commitments. All of these choices define your leadership. One of the most important things a leader must understand is that decisions are not always about knowing what's right. They're about choosing what's best with the information you have. You won't always be certain, but certainty is not a prerequisite for action. Courage is. Leaders learn to live with the weight of uncertainty and still move forward. They trust their preparation, their principles, and their instincts. But here's what truly sets great leaders apart. They take ownership. When things go wrong, they don't point fingers. They don't blame the weather, the team, or the economy. They say, "This was my call. This is my responsibility." That kind of ownership earns respect, because anyone can take credit when things go right. But leaders show who they really are when things go wrong. And not every decision will work out. That's just part of the game. You'll make mistakes. You'll wish you had more information. You'll learn that sometimes the hard way is the only way. But those are the moments that shape your leadership. You don't grow by avoiding mistakes. You grow by learning from them. You adjust. You recalibrate. You move again, this time wiser. Now there's a balance to strike here. A leader must not rush into every decision carelessly. Thoughtful decision-making involves listening, gathering input, weighing consequences, and seeking counsel when needed. But after that, a choice must be made. Because waiting too long, trying to please everyone, fearing criticism can paralyze progress. You'll never lead effectively if you're afraid of judgment. The key is to develop your internal compass. Know your values, know your goals, and then let those guide your choices. When you have clarity of purpose, decisions become easier. They may not be painless, but they become clearer. And over time, you build confidence in your judgment. So if you want to grow as a leader, embrace the weight of decision-making. Start with the small ones. Build momentum. And as your confidence grows, so will your capacity to lead in bigger moments. Don't be the person who waits for permission. Be the one who moves, who acts, who decides. Because leadership is not about perfection. It's about direction. People don't need you to always be right. They need you to be real, responsible, and responsive. They need someone who will step forward when others step back. That someone can be you. Make the decision. Own it. Learn from it. And keep moving forward, one bold choice at a time. Number 5, develop others. Leadership is not about you. If leadership were only about personal success, it would end the moment you achieve your goals. But real leadership, lasting, impactful leadership, goes far beyond your own ambitions. Great leaders don't just rise, they lift others with them. They create environments where others can grow, shine, and eventually lead themselves. Because leadership is not about being the hero of the story. It's about helping others become the heroes of theirs. One of the greatest examples of this principle was John Wooden, the legendary UCLA basketball coach. Sure, he won national championships and built an incredible career. But what made him a truly great leader was how he developed young men, not just as athletes, but as people. He focused on character. He emphasized preparation. He taught values like humility, teamwork, and integrity. His players didn't just leave the court better, they left life ready. And many of them went on to become leaders themselves, in sports, business, and life. That's what real leaders do. They multiply their impact by investing in people. Too often, people rise in leadership and think the spotlight should stay on them. But if you're the smartest person in every room you walk into, you're not leading, you're limiting. True leaders don't hoard knowledge, credit, or opportunity. They share it. They mentor. They coach. They build confidence in others. And when their people succeed, they celebrate them, not themselves. Think about it. Who are the people in your life that helped shape who you are today? Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you, a manager who gave you your first big opportunity, or a parent who encouraged you when things were tough. They made a difference not by controlling you, but by developing you. That's the kind of impact a leader can have. To be that kind of leader, you have to let go of ego. You have to be willing to see potential where others only see problems. You have to recognize that not everyone grows the same way or at the same pace. Some people need encouragement. Others need challenge. Some thrive with structure. Others flourish with freedom. Great leaders learn how to meet people where they are and help them get where they're capable of going. But here's the key. It takes time. Developing people doesn't happen overnight. It's not about quick results. It's about long-term impact. That means being patient, being available, and being consistent. It means offering feedback that builds instead of breaks. It means believing in someone even when they doubt themselves. That's leadership. You also have to model what you want to see. If you want your team to be disciplined, be disciplined. If you want them to communicate openly, communicate openly. People don't follow what you say, they follow what you do. Every day, in every interaction, you're teaching others how to lead by how you lead yourself. And remember, the goal isn't to make people dependent on you, it's to make them confident without you. Empowered leadership means giving people ownership, responsibility, and the freedom to try, fail, and grow. It means stepping back sometimes so others can step up. You'll know you've led well not by how many people report to you, but by how many people are better because of you. People who've grown under your influence. People who found their voice, their strength, and their path. Because you took the time to guide them. One of the highest compliments a leader can receive is this: because of you, I didn't give up. Think about that. You can be the reason someone keeps going. You can be the reason someone steps into their potential. That's not just leadership, that's legacy. So if you want to be a great leader, don't just focus on your goals, focus on your people. Look for ways to serve them, stretch them, and support them. Be the kind of person who sees greatness before it's obvious. Help others rise, not just because it's good for the team, but because it's the right thing to do. Because at the end of the day, leadership is not about how far you go. It's about how far you help others go. That's what transforms good leaders into great ones. And that's the kind of leader the world truly needs. Number 6. Learn from failure without losing confidence. Failure. The word alone makes some people shrink, hide, or hesitate. But to a true leader, failure is not the enemy. It's a teacher, a builder, a necessary part of the journey. Every great leader has failed, not once, but many times, and not quietly. The difference is, they didn't let failure define them. They let it refine them. You see, leadership doesn't mean always getting it right. It means growing through what goes wrong. It means falling, learning, adjusting, and rising again with more wisdom than you had before. Because failure isn't final, it's formative. The real loss happens only when you refuse to learn from it. Think about Thomas Edison. Before inventing the electric light bulb, he failed over 1,000 times. That's not an exaggeration. Over 1,000 attempts, and each one didn't work. But when asked about it, Edison said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That mindset, that refusal to quit, is why he succeeded. He turned failure into feedback and obstacles into stepping stones. That's what real leaders do. They don't run from difficulty. They walk through it with the awareness that every challenge carries a lesson. They don't pretend to be perfect. Instead, they stay humble enough to say, "I was wrong," and strong enough to say, "Let's try again." But here's the key. They don't lose confidence in the process. Many people confuse failing at something with being a failure. As someone, that's a dangerous mindset. If you link your self-worth to your success rate, every mistake will feel personal. And that's when people give up. Not because they can't succeed, but because they stop believing in themselves. Leadership requires inner security. You have to know who you are beyond your results. Your identity must be rooted in growth, not perfection. When failure hits, and it will, it shouldn't shake your core. It should sharpen your character. Now, failure doesn't feel good. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not sugarcoat it. It can bruise your ego, shake your confidence, and make you question your decisions. But it can also become one of your greatest assets if you face it the right way. Reflect on what went wrong. Own your part in it. Extract the lesson. Then move forward. Don't sit in the failure longer than you need to. Learn, adjust, and try again with better insight. You'll also find that failure teaches empathy. Once you've been knocked down, you're slower to judge others when they fall. You develop patience, understanding, and compassion. That makes you a better leader. Because leadership isn't just about pushing people to win. It's about walking with them through their losses and showing them how to rise. And let's talk about teams for a moment. If you're in a leadership role, your response to failure sets the tone. When someone on your team messes up, do you criticize harshly or do you coach wisely? Do you punish risk-taking or do you reward learning? If people are afraid to fail under your leadership, they'll also be afraid to try. And when people stop trying, innovation dies, growth stops, and so does progress. The best leaders create an environment where failure is part of the process, not something to fear, but something to grow through. They encourage smart risks. They celebrate effort and improvement, and they remind their team that setbacks are not signs of weakness. They're steps on the path to strength. So the next time you face failure, and you will, don't hide from it. Don't make excuses, and don't let it crush your spirit. Look it in the eye and say thank you for the lesson. Then move forward with even more clarity, confidence, and determination than before. Because failure doesn't make you less of a leader. It makes you more human, more relatable, and more resilient. And resilience is what separates those who lead for a moment from those who lead for a lifetime. You don't become great by avoiding failure. You become great by mastering your response to it. That's the kind of leader people trust, follow, and remember. Not the one who never stumbles, but the one who never stays down. Number 7, stay humble, stay hungry. There's something powerful about a leader who doesn't need to be the loudest in the room, the flashiest on the stage, or the center of every conversation. That quiet confidence, the ability to lead without ego, to serve without seeking applause, is a mark of true greatness. Because while many chase leadership for recognition, real leaders chase growth, impact, and purpose. And they do it with humility. Humility is not weakness. In fact, it's one of the strongest foundations a leader can stand on. It means you're secure enough to admit you don't have all the answers. You're open enough to listen, and you're wise enough to learn from anyone, regardless of their position, title, or background. Arrogance closes doors. Humility opens them. Let's look at one of the most powerful examples of humble leadership. Mother Teresa. She didn't lead with noise or authority. She led with love. She lived simply, served quietly, and gave relentlessly. She had no interest in being seen, but the world saw her anyway. Her life impacted millions, not because she demanded attention, but because she gave attention. She didn't seek power. She lived purpose. And that is the essence of humble leadership. But humility alone is not enough. You also need hunger, the internal fire that drives you to keep growing, keep learning, and keep pushing forward, even after success. Hunger is what keeps leaders from getting complacent. It's what keeps you sharp when others get comfortable. It's the whisper in your ear that says, there's still more to do. You haven't arrived yet. The moment a leader starts thinking they've made it is the moment they start falling behind. Hunger keeps you curious. It keeps you willing to study, to evolve, to ask questions and seek better answers. No matter how far you've come, there's always another level. There's always someone to serve more deeply, a skill to sharpen, a problem to solve, or a way to grow. The best leaders combine both humility to acknowledge their limitations and hunger to expand them. They understand that the title of leader isn't a crown to wear, it's a responsibility to carry. And the more influence they gain, the more careful they become with their words, their actions, and their example. Now here's a warning. Success can be dangerous. When you begin to achieve, people will praise you. They'll elevate your name, flatter your efforts, and sometimes even put you on a pedestal. If you're not grounded, it's easy to start believing the hype. But the pedestal isn't real. It's a trap. And the moment you start thinking you're above learning, above correction, or above others, that's the moment you stop being a leader. That's why humility must be a daily practice. It's checking your ego at the door. It's remembering where you came from, who helped you along the way, and how much you still have to learn. It's thanking your team. It's giving credit generously and taking blame responsibly. It's staying teachable, always. And it's not just about the big things. Humility shows up in the small moments too, in how you treat a stranger, in how you respond to criticism, in how you handle someone else's mistake. Every one of those moments reveals the kind of leader you really are. Likewise, hunger must be fueled constantly. Read books, study people, ask better questions, surround yourself with others who challenge you to grow, seek feedback, even when it's uncomfortable. Do the work when no one's watching. Because greatness isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows, in the discipline, the dedication, and the daily grind that most people overlook. So stay humble enough to keep learning and hungry enough to keep moving. No matter how far you go, never stop growing. Let your success make you grateful, not arrogant. Let your progress push you forward, not make you settle. Because the best leaders aren't driven by ego. They're driven by impact. They don't need to be celebrated. They just need to know they're making a difference. And they never stop working to become better, for themselves, for their people, and for the mission they serve. Stay humble, stay hungry. That's the balance that builds unstoppable leadership. Number 8, adapt to change or become irrelevant. Change is the one constant that every leader must learn to embrace. The world is shifting every day. Technology evolves, markets fluctuate, people grow, and challenges arise that no one can predict. In this ever-moving landscape, leaders have a choice: adapt or become obsolete. It's that simple. Because what worked yesterday won't necessarily work tomorrow. And if you cling too tightly to comfort, you'll be left behind while the world moves forward without you. Leadership is not about holding on to the past. It's about reading the moment and responding with wisdom. It's about staying flexible without losing your core values. And most importantly, it's about being willing to reinvent yourself when the situation demands it. The leaders who thrive in today's world are not the ones with rigid plans, but the ones with resilient minds. Take the example of Howard Schultz, the man who helped shape Starbucks into a global phenomenon. He didn't just open a coffee shop, he created an experience. But what made his leadership stand out wasn't just the idea, it was his ability to adapt. When the 2008 recession hit and Starbucks began to struggle, Schultz didn't blame the economy and wait it out. He stepped back in as CEO, made tough decisions, closed underperforming stores, retrained staff, and refocused the brand on what mattered most. He changed course, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. That's what adaptive leadership looks like. Being adaptable doesn't mean you're uncertain or lacking direction. It means you're responsive. You're in tune with your environment, your people, and your mission. You're willing to shift the strategy while staying rooted in your purpose. In fact, your ability to adapt shows your strength, not your weakness. It means you're not stuck in ego. You're committed to outcomes, not old methods. Now, change is uncomfortable. No one likes stepping into the unknown, but growth never happens in the comfort zone. Leaders must walk through uncertainty before they can lead others through it. And the first step is letting go of the need for total control. You can't predict every turn, but you can prepare yourself to respond wisely when it comes. Adaptability also requires curiosity. You have to keep asking questions. What's changing in my industry? What's shifting in the needs of my people? Where am I falling behind? What could we do better? The moment you stop asking questions is the moment your leadership begins to stagnate. And here's the truth. People will resist change. Even when the old ways are no longer working, there's comfort in familiarity. Your job as a leader is to guide people through that resistance. You don't drag them. You walk with them. You explain the why. You paint the vision of what's ahead, and you help them see the opportunity on the other side of discomfort. But don't wait for crisis to be your teacher. Don't wait for a breakdown to begin thinking differently. Great leaders anticipate change. They prepare for it before it arrives. They build systems that are flexible. They create cultures where innovation is encouraged, not feared. They reward adaptability in others, and they model it themselves. And it's not just external change you must be ready for. It's internal growth, too. You're not the same leader you were 5 years ago, and you shouldn't be. Each season of leadership will ask something new of you, a new mindset, a new skill, a new level of responsibility. You have to grow to meet it. Adaptability is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. It allows you to keep moving forward even when the path changes. It's what allows your leadership to remain relevant, impactful, and strong, even in uncertain times. So don't fear change. Welcome it. Let it sharpen your thinking, stretch your comfort, and shape your next level. Because the leaders who last are not the ones who resist change. They're the ones who learn from it, grow through it, and lead others confidently in the middle of it. In a world that never stops moving, adaptability isn't optional, it's essential. Adapt or be left behind. Change or become irrelevant. Evolve or expire. It's your move and your future depends on it. Number 9, build unshakable integrity. If leadership is a house, then integrity is its foundation. Without it, everything else, your vision, your influence, your success, eventually crumbles. Because people may admire your talent, they may be impressed by your results, but they will only follow you with their hearts if they trust you. And trust isn't built on charisma, it's built on character. Integrity means doing the right thing, even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unseen. It's about aligning your actions with your values, not just when people are watching, but especially when they're not. In a world filled with shortcuts, hype, and broken promises, integrity stands out like a lighthouse in the dark. It's not flashy, but it's powerful, and people are drawn to it. One of the greatest examples of integrity in leadership is Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison, he emerged not with vengeance in his heart, but with forgiveness and unity in his vision. He had every reason to be bitter, to lead with resentment, but he chose the higher road. He lived his values, even when it would have been easier not to. That moral clarity earned him the respect of not just a nation, but the world. That's what integrity looks like in action: consistent, courageous, and deeply human. As a leader, your integrity is tested every day, in the small decisions, in the private moments, in the pressure to cut corners or tell half-truths. And here's the thing, most people don't lose their integrity in a single moment. They lose it slowly, compromise by compromise, rationalization by rationalization. One little lie, one overlooked promise, one dishonest excuse. And before long, the trust that took years to build is gone. Integrity is not about being perfect, it's about being honest. When you make a mistake, own it. When you give your word, keep it. When something feels off, speak up. That kind of consistency builds a reputation you can stand on. And once people trust your character, they'll follow you through anything. But integrity isn't just about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. There's no pillow softer than a clear conscience. When your actions match your principles, You walk with confidence. You sleep better. You carry yourself with quiet strength because you know you're doing what's right, not what's easy, not what's popular, but what's right. Integrity also shows up in how you treat people, especially those who can't offer you anything in return. It's revealed in how you handle power. Do you use your influence to uplift or to control? Do you serve your team or do you expect them to serve you? True leadership is not about position. It's about service. And service without integrity is manipulation. One of the best ways to build integrity into your leadership is to define your non-negotiables. What are the values you refuse to compromise on? Honesty, respect, accountability? Write them down. Make them public. Let your team know what you stand for, and more importantly, show them through your behavior. Because a leader who lives their values doesn't have to talk about them all the time. People can see it, feel it, and trust it. Now, will having integrity always be easy? No. Sometimes it will cost you. You may lose a deal. You may walk away from partnerships. You might miss out on short-term gain. But in return, you gain something far more valuable: credibility. And credibility is what turns a leader into a legacy. Remember, people don't follow titles, they follow truth. They follow the leader who speaks plainly, acts justly, and leads with heart. When people know they can count on you to be fair, honest, and consistent, they will go the extra mile with you, not because they have to, but because they want to. So protect your integrity. Guard it like a treasure, because it is. Every day in every interaction, ask yourself, am I being who I said I'd be? Am I doing what I said I'd do? Am I leading the way I want to be remembered? Because at the end of the day, leadership without integrity is just performance. But leadership with integrity, that's influence. That's legacy. And that's the kind of leader worth becoming. Number 10. Take people somewhere that matters. Leadership isn't just about being in charge. It's about moving people forward. It's about seeing a destination that others might not see yet, and having the courage, the clarity, and the conviction to guide them there. A true leader is a bridge between what is and what could be. And the question every leader must ask themselves is this: where am I taking the people who trust me to lead them? At its core, leadership is about purpose. It's about doing something that matters, something that leaves people better, stronger, more hopeful than before they met you. You're not just leading projects, managing teams, or building systems. You're shaping lives. And the impact you make doesn't end when the job is done. It echoes long after, in the lessons you've taught, the courage you've inspired, and the values you've passed on. Let's explore this through a simple but powerful example. Imagine a teacher in a small town school. No fame, no title beyond Miss Davis. But every day she shows up with energy, care, and belief in her students. She sees potential in the kid who feels invisible. She challenges the student who's coasting. She encourages the one who's struggling at home. Years later, those kids remember her. Some become doctors, some leaders, some parents. And they carry her words, her example, her leadership. Miss Davis didn't just teach math. She took people somewhere that mattered. That's what real leadership looks like. It's not always glamorous. Sometimes it's quiet, behind the scenes. But it always leaves a mark, because it always moves people towards something greater, toward belief, toward growth, toward a better future. To do this well, you must first know why you lead. What is the mission behind your leadership? Is it impact? Is it service? Is it transformation? Without a clear sense of purpose, leadership becomes mechanical, just another job. But with purpose, leadership becomes meaningful. It becomes the force that unites people, fuels persistence, and creates momentum that lasts. You must also understand the people you're leading. Where are they now? What do they need? What are they afraid of? What inspires them? Leadership isn't about dragging people, it's about drawing them. And you do that by connecting your vision to their values. Show them how the journey serves them, not just you. When people see that your goal lifts everyone, they'll walk through fire for you. But don't just lead people to comfort, lead them to challenge. Growth doesn't happen on easy roads. The best leaders push people, lovingly but firmly, out of their comfort zones. They stretch potential. They ignite courage. And they call out greatness even when people can't yet see it in themselves. And along the way, a great leader never forgets to walk with the people. Leadership isn't about racing ahead while everyone struggles to keep up. It's about setting the pace, checking in, and making sure no one gets left behind. It's about celebrating progress, even the small wins. It's about saying, I believe in you, even when they don't believe in themselves. Leaders also leave people with tools, not just results. They don't just solve problems. They teach others how to solve them. They don't just give answers. They spark questions. Because when the journey is over, the best gift a leader can give is the ability for others to lead themselves. So ask yourself, where are you taking people? Are you helping them grow? Are you building something that lasts? Are you leading with heart, or just hustling for outcomes? At the end of your journey, will the people around you say, because of them I became better? Leadership is not about the spotlight, it's about significance. And significance is measured by lives touched, not awards won. It's measured by people remembering how you made them feel, what you helped them believe, and who you encouraged them to become. So take people somewhere that matters, not just to a goal, but to greatness, not just through a project, but through a transformation. Be the kind of leader whose impact multiplies long after you've stepped away. Because in the end, leadership is not about being remembered. It's about making a difference that can't be forgotten. We've come a long way on this journey of leadership through discipline, vision, communication, responsibility, service, resilience, humility, adaptability, and integrity. And now we arrive at the heart of it all. Leadership is not something you're born with. It's something you build, one decision at a time, one moment at a time, one habit at a time. Leadership isn't reserved for CEOs, presidents, or public figures. It belongs to anyone who chooses to take responsibility for their life, their choices, and their influence. It belongs to the teacher who stays late to help a struggling student, to the parent who models patience and strength at home, to the entrepreneur who leads with courage, even in uncertainty, to the friend who speaks truth with kindness. That's leadership. It's not a title, it's a decision. And it's a decision you can make starting today. You don't need to have all the answers to begin. You just need to begin with intention, show up with discipline, speak with clarity, act with purpose, lead with love. And when you fall short, and you will learn, adjust, and keep going. Because the world doesn't need perfect leaders. It needs real ones. The kind who show up when it's hard, who stay grounded when it's tempting to drift, who serve, who grow, and who never stop reaching for something greater than themselves. So what now? Now you apply. Now you take what you've learned and start living it out. At work, at home, in every conversation, and every decision. You become the example others can count on. You become the kind of leader who doesn't just inspire people, but transforms them. And remember this, your leadership matters. Someone, somewhere, is watching how you live, how you lead, how you respond. Be the reason someone believes in their own potential. Be the spark that starts their journey. Because the best part is, this isn't the end, it's the beginning of your next level, the start of your greatest impact, the foundation of a legacy that outlives you. You have what it takes. Now go lead with it. The world is waiting.